everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and today I have a part 2 to a video I did a little while ago back in October where I recommended books based on Monster High characters, and that was so fun. I did say in the video that if you wanted a part 2, just let me know and I would do it. Technically no one asked for a part 2, but someone did comment on that video saying that their favorite Monster High character was Operetta and they wish I had done her in the video. And so I'm like, well, that's close enough to asking for a second part, so I wanted to do this so that I could let that person have a book recommendation based on their favorite Monster High character, and I have 6 other characters besides that to recommend books based on, so why don't we just get into it? So we will start off with Operetta, and Operetta is the daughter of the Phantom of the Opera, if you could not guess, and she is very into music, understandably so. So the book that I've gone for doesn't have anything to do with music, but it does have to do with art in general, and that book is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This is a book about fae, and in this iteration of fae, they can't do what is known as the craft, and that is any sort of art or creation, so they can't do any cooking or writing or clothing making, anything like that, because it just goes against their nature as something timeless and eternal. And our main character, Isabelle, is a painter, and she ends up doing a painting for a fae prince, and it goes wrong, and things happen. This is actually my favorite Margaret Rogerson book, which is saying something because I love all of her books, but this one is the cream of the crop to me. And I have partnered this with Operetta because Isabelle kind of reminds me of Operetta in a way. They are both very passionate about their chosen art form. For Operetta, it's music. For Isabelle, it's painting. And I just feel like there's a similar vibe there, even if the aesthetics of the character are not quite the same as the aesthetics of this book. Next, we have Deuce Gorgon, and he is the son of Medusa, and therefore can turn people to stone. So the book that I'm recommending, if he is your favorite character, is Reckless by Cornelia Funk. This is also known as The Petrified Flesh. Reckless was the original book title, and it was known as part 1 of the Mirror World series, but then after a couple of books, they completely changed the names of the books and the covers and everything, so now it's known as The Petrified Flesh, and Reckless is the name of the series. Regardless, it's a good book. This is a book that I've loved since I was a child, and it follows Jacob Reckless, who goes into this portal world and goes on these adventures. One day, his brother follows him in, an accident happens, his brother is now turning into a Goyle, which I took an embarrassingly long time to realize was just shortened from gargoyle, but they are creatures made of stone, so that is my connection to Deuce Gorgon here. Our next character on this list is Scara Screams, and she is a banshee. She's honestly one of my favorite side characters. I think she's really cool, and I love her design. The book that I would recommend if Scara is your favorite is House of Furies by Madeline Rue. Now, the main character of this book is not a banshee, but one of the side characters is, so there's that connection, and this book just deals a lot with the folklore of the British Isles, which I feel like ties into Scara's history as a banshee. I have finished this series now. I actually recently read the 3rd book in the trilogy, and the scope of the lore and world building really does expand beyond things, but at least in this first one, it stays very much in tune with the British Isles and things like that. So while the rest of the series maybe doesn't quite match Scara, I think this first one does, and this first one is my favorite in the series, so highly recommend. I really enjoy it. Then we have Toralei Stripe, who is another side character that I really enjoy. She's one of the antagonists of the series. She doesn't really get along with any of the main characters, and I think she's a very interesting character in herself. And my recommendation for her is Rosemary and Rue by Seanan McGuire. Cats play a large role in this book, specifically the King of Cats, Tybalt. He is a fae, a fairy, and can turn into a cat, and cats are kind of his domain. His kingdom is of the cats, and I feel like that blends very well with Toralei, who is a cat person. Also, The main character in this, she gives the same kind of like grungy, almost like punk kind of vibes that Toralei gives. I feel like Toralei has a very similar like attitude to the main character of this book, so kind of matches with her on two different levels. The next character is Gillington Weber, who goes by Gil most of the time, and I don't know what it is about Gil that gives me horror vibes, but he kind of just seems like a guy who would enjoy horror. And what better recommendation than a mermaid horror? So my recommendation is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. Yes, Mira Grant is the pen name of Seanan McGuire, so I'm recommending two of her books in the same video. It's fine. They're both good books. But yes, as I've said, this is a mermaid based aquatic horror. It's about this like ship that goes missing in the Marianas Trench, and the it's like a whole big like horror situation. And then years and years later in the actual story, the sister of one of the people who was on that ship is now like going back to figure out what happened, and they're like filming a documentary. It's this whole thing. I actually need to reread this because it has been quite a few years, and I want to revisit it because I did really enjoy it. Also, there's a prequel novella that I think is the original story of that ship that went missing. So maybe I reread this and then read that one, or I read the novella first and then this. I don't know. Lots of decisions. But anyway, that's not for this video. This is my recommendation if you enjoy Gil. If you like horror. Again, I don't know why he gives a horror lover vibe to me, but he just does. Next up is kind of a 2-for-1 on the recommendations, but not in that direction. It's two characters with one recommendation. The characters are Jackson Jekyll and Holt Hyde, obviously inspired by Jekyll and Hyde. So they are two characters that inhabit the same body, but it's kind of like an alter ego situation. And so for them, I wanted something that had kind of like a dual aspect to it. And the book that I've gone with is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. And the dual aspect is a dual timeline. So this is a book about a woman who does not want to go back in time, but ends up going back in time several times. Like it happens over and over again to this time period. And I don't want to like spoil it, but this also has a theme of lineage, and I feel like that ties well into Jekyll and Hyde, or Jackson Jekyll and Holt Hyde as like the reason they are the way they are because their father was Jekyll and Hyde. It's a whole thing. It makes sense to me, but I don't want to give you too many details about this book to fully explain why I think it makes sense. But anyway, love this book. Highly, highly recommend. And the last character on this list is Gina Fire Long, who is, of course, a dragon, and therefore I wanted to pick one of my many dragon books. If you didn't know, I love dragons. Now, she is an Eastern dragon, so I could have gone with something like Pride of the Orange Tree or Day of Fallen Night, but her character is a little bit confused in its inspiration, at least in the first generation of Monster High, even though she is very clearly meant to be an Eastern dragon. Her like lore and powers and things very much fall in line with the Western idea of a dragon. Like Eastern dragons are more associated with water, whereas Gina Fire very much a fire type dragon. And so there's a whole big controversy surrounding it, and she did get a lot of changes done when she like entered this new generation of Monster High. But the book that I've gone with is a dragon book and ties in her that way, but I also picked other aspects of her to tie it into this recommendation. So, the book is Dragon Slippers by Jessica Day George. We have this dragon. It is a beautiful golden dragon, much like Gina Fire. But the main aspect of this that I feel like applies to Gina Fire is the fashion. So Gina Fire is a fashion designer. That's her main hobby and interest. And our main character in this book, Creel, is a seamstress. And we got a lot of moments in this book involving like fashion and creating clothing and stuff like that, and I always thought that was very cool. So that is my main connection to Gina Fire besides the fact that it's, dragons. So those are all of the recommendations I have for you for this video. If I still haven't covered your favorite Monster High character, let me know who they are down below, and I can do a part 3. There are so many characters, like, I could keep going on this for months. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.